We are connecting. I can see Cameroon. Good morning. This is Sadama from Niger. So you can start. I had a connection problem. I couldn't hear at the beginning. Let's start. Yes, please. Thank you so much. This is Niger. For this session, we wanted to share our priorities for 2025. Part of the priorities for Niger, we validated the 2024 activity plan, and following that, we identified a few activities for 2025. These include, let's say, revolve around 3 main points. First point is about internal coordination of the cash working group. Second point is on how we will ensure the harmonization or the implementation of cash, the inventory cash. And third point is collaborations with government, mainly through advocacy. So these are our key priorities. So for the coordination side, we want to continue the monthly meetings. We'll want to keep on monthly meetings to keep all group members informed. So this is about the information. And then we'll have the studies. On the studies, still as part of the coordination, we want to coordinate with the financial providers, financial service providers, for them to understand the context we're working in. And well, we're also trying to have a mapping of the financial service providers. The work has started, and we want to finalize that. Then for HPC, we want to continue the process. Well, second point about the harmonization. This year, we'll finalize the MMB harmonization. Finalize the MMB for Niger this year. So we want to see how we want to share more information about the M&E action and how it's implemented. Third point is about training with GALP. We are planning to have some training for free during the 2025 year. Strengthen capacities of the group members, meaning the national and international NGOs. We will work much with the government this year, particularly for safety networks, with the Directorate of Food Crisis Management, and we want more advocacy, strength of advocacy with regard to such aspect with government members, so they can understand rationale of humanitarian assistance. So that's what we want to share with you. Thank you. Can you hear me? I'm done. Sorry, I was speaking in while my microphone was on mute. Thank you. I can't see questions online. I just want to know if you've already identified the studies you are proposing to do in Niger. Do you have some ideas? And I noted down the other points. Do you have a date already? An estimated date for the review of the MEB? When will it be finalized? I know there's a team that who does that already some work on the cash transfer risks. Have you concluded that? And are you able to present it? Have you debated? Thank you for those questions. For the studies, we haven't yet identified decision has already been made. I know at that meeting we talked about multiplier effects. We're waiting for the members' feedback. The multiplier effect and cash transfer. See the impact on beneficiaries. Well, yeah, we want to share with you discussions are still ongoing on that. The MEB, that's priority.
Hi, Abdullah. Hi, hi, good morning. Can you confirm if you can hear me? Yes, thank you so much. Apologies for joining in late. We're trying to get to the airport, and I want to also apologize in advance because we might not be staying till the end of the meeting because we have to travel back to Maiduguri. Um, yeah, so quickly I'll just give updates from Nigeria. First. Um, we have a new new programming co-chair from CRS in the name of Seth Manu. I don't know if Seth is online, but Seth would be joining us here as we progress. So I'll be sending out an official email to CALP to introduce him properly. That is, by the way, on the leadership. So secondly, from our end, we are planning our annual cash working group workshop. We do this on a yearly basis. So this year the approach will be a bit different because it's not going to be focused on Northeast Nigeria, but it's going to be a national cash and voucher assistance workshop because we now have cash expanding to other geographical locations in Nigeria. We now have Northwest response, and also there's a bit of the North Central. So we're going to be having this workshop to reflect on some of the key milestones and challenges from last year. And we're going to be discussing key priorities for 2025 and looking at other key discussions to inform better response. So we're going to be having quite a number of stakeholders in the room. We would be having our donors part of that workshop. We'll be having representative from government, that is the federal government, and then state level government representative will be in the room. Some financial service providers, national actors, UN agencies, and also international organizations implementing cash response across the country will be in the room for that discussion. The workshop is scheduled to happen on the 11th to 13th of February. So once that workshop is done, we'll be able to set key priorities for 2025 and also review our work plan. So while that is ongoing, we are currently in the week of the HNRP launch for Nigeria. That will happen tomorrow, and we have successfully finalized the cash page for the HNRP 2025 with a multipurpose cash figure of 12 million dollars. That is a bit high from what we have last year, but this is just the HNRP figure. We also have other funding main other funding mechanisms. Like for instance, we have the BHA grant to rapid response funding for national actors to implement multipurpose cash within the country. So that was not factored in, but for now, for the HNRP, we're still going to be looking at doing an advanced analysis. We call it project model analysis here in Nigeria. We do it on annual basis as well, just to gauge the projections for cash in the country for the year. So to give us some sort of insights for us to prepare better and to also give us an insight to the geographical locations that are being proposed for CVA intervention. Lastly, we are going to lastly we have finalized our MEB review, and we are going to be publishing that hopefully this week. We're just working on the layout of the document currently. The MEB has been approved and endorsed by the ISCG and also the cash working group members. So once that is published, we're open to sharing the link to everyone in the room to uh, read, and feel free to ask questions if there's a need for us to present here in the room. We're always ready to share knowledge. So I think that is it from my end. I'll be happy to take any questions, if any. Over to you, Abdullahi. Apologies, I can't see the questions. I don't know if you can just maybe read it out because I'm on the road. Thank you. Yes, yes. We noticed that a lot of partners have not registered for the workshop, so we still extended the registration till Wednesday. So it's still open. It's still very much open, Anil. Thank you.
Thierry, are you the one presenting on the cash working group? Morning, Michael. Good morning, dear colleague. I hope you can hear me. I first want to extend my season's greetings to the whole group and one present for the cash working group of Cameroon. For Cameroon, the cash working group, during the 2 months of 34, we worked. International networks. Finally, Cameroon Cash Working Group working on impact survey multiplier effect. ETORs have been finalized in November last year. Unfortunately, the response to floods was still underway. To avoid the study being biased by the transfers done as part of the response to these floods, the study was then put to early this year and will be resumed in February. By March, if resources allow, so we're facing the crisis in the north, the northernmost area, crisis in Central African Republic, and the study will be finalized and we can share the results. Evidence, this is to generate evidence for better advocacy with government and buyers. Finally, we'll continue the work with the northernmost area cash working group for the acceptance of cash working group by authorities. Thanks, floor back to you. Thank you, Thierry. I don't know if someone has questions. I can't see questions online. But thank you. Thanks for sharing the information for the multiplier effect study. This will be a very good study for the region. We await, looking forward to the findings and hoping that other cash working groups in the region will also do similar evaluations so that this can be used to demonstrate the significance of cash working group in the eyes of the international community and the efficacy of cash working group, the transfer, sorry, so show the magnitude of the effects. Sorry, this is Alex from the Cameroon Cash Working Group. Just to complement what Thierry said, since we're resuming the activities, we will be updating work the various documents of the Cash Working Group. As Thierry mentioned, Alex signing his mission with us. See if we can have someone else who can help us strategically on other aspects, in particular regarding what you said, and strengthening the support of the clusters, sector cluster members. We were not able to do it this year about the localization and strengthening the sub-regional cash working groups. We'll share the figures. I can't see it now, but we'll. It's my point. Something for the next meetings. If you have ideas on how to get specific assistance, as in the past, you can share ideas. This can help other cash working groups follow your footsteps. And if there are resources that can be allocated to cash working groups at professional level, we are ready to assist where we can. But we know that having a resource person get full time can make a difference. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We can give the floor to another cash working group, especially Togo team. Togo cash working group, can you take the floor and roll out your presentation. Thank you very much. Good morning, Medco, and good morning to all the colleagues. I want to check whether you can hear me clear, loud and clear. Thank you. It's our pleasure to be part of this meeting. I am here with Monica. We are actually sharing the same computer. So the colleague of mine, Eli Murula, who ensures the role of co-lead, is also of CRS, is also supposed to join us, and we hope that you'll join us very, very soon. For the case of Togo, we'd like to share with you an overview of the progress made in terms of implementation of our different humanitarian activities this far, especially connected to cash transfer. Similar to other countries, the government was not supportive, did not agree with the cash transfer, so assistance activities were suspended, especially. However, there has been a lot of interactions in order to facilitate understanding. Last May, some facilitation activity was done, and therefore national government organizations were called into play and took part in the activities. Following that, a series of advocacy activities were conducted, which culminated into a presentation of the MEB, especially the national cash working groups worked on MEB, and after validation of the cross-sector group, we also interacted with the government agents. And last November, there was a meeting for the presentation of the MEB, and that enabled us to seize the opportunity to improve advocacy and also be better prepared to run some assistance activities, especially through cash transfer. The government then provided go-ahead for the cash transfer activities. Cash transfer is not done in kind, in cash as such, but we were able to do that in the past because that back then the new modalities were not adopted. So recently, only in-kind distribution was approved. Since November, we prepared the MEB that is validated by the government. We have started assistant activities through the voucher modalities. Multiple NGOs have been playing a key role. So as we speak, we can start the new modalities and of other NGOs into play, such as HI and WFP and many others who have been contributing to that voucher distribution activity. So there has been physical contact with international NGOs intervening on the ground. WFP took part in the e-voucher distribution last November. We completed a last series of voucher distribution activity, and we are contemplating another round of activity next February to extend the activity, because we actually started a pilot phase, and we wanted to test out these new modalities that faces multiple challenges. But we then decided to run a pilot phase, draw some important lessons, and then scale it up nationwide. So as we speak, we are preparing ourselves for the implementation of new modality, because the pilot phase was very satisfactory at multiple levels, especially for WFP. We also heard of the implementing partners. We wanted to find out what are the lessons drawn, what are the challenges, and what are the actions to be undertaken. The government expressed satisfaction after completion of this pilot phase. So we believe that we are on the right track. And now we want to find out with other key actors how they can join us for this year, 2025.
Bonjour, Mayam Soda.
One of our priorities. We want to maintain contact with the government, especially to implement capacity building activities, because the modality is not properly understood by everybody. Once we mobilize more resources, we intend to run capacity building activities. We want to continue the advocacy effort. This is an overview of what we've been as part of implementation of the MEB, and especially the cash transfer effort. Well, I hope that Monica is here. She doesn't have anything to add. So microphone over to you. If any questions, please feel free to raise them. Thank you very much, Enaja, and good morning, Monica. There is a question on the chat box. Actually, do you think that it is useful? Well, at the regional level, can we consider organizing a presentation with some actors who have already run some implementation, some who have some experience in voucher distribution? Because I know there are multiple organizations in the region that have successfully completed some voucher distribution activities. So we may contemplate a session to enable lesson sharing, experience sharing in terms of cash distributions. So we will contemplate organizing a regional level discussion with some peers, some other actors who have some experience in cash distribution. So that will be an opportunity to learn. Well, Enaja, do you want to come back and tell us more about the causes of that led to this activity in Togo? Thank you. Well, in Togo, similar to other countries, we had the opportunity to take part in this cash working group event organized by your organization and other partners. We also heard of the experiences of other countries. So in Togo, similar to other countries, we did not officially receive a notification of the reasons for and suspension of cash distribution, there was no official reasons expressed, but I assume that it is the very same reason for other countries, similar to other countries where sometimes the government will then make decisions, sometimes based on undisclosed information. They then decide not to allow this cash activity, because it has been said that cash distribution is part of the sources of funding of some of the terrorist groups, especially the northern part of our country, which is a neighboring country to Sahel countries, is the most affected, the most at-risk region. So that is basically the reason. Unfortunately, this fund being distributed cash, hot cash, so armed groups that control, that perpetrate crimes in these regions may take advantage of that. But now everybody understands that the priorities, the major concerns of the different countries is mainly security concerns. So that is the main reason for the government decision. But this was not actually marked by an official statement. Good morning, everybody. I just want to add 2 reasons to what Enaja said. Well, that's what we all agree with. That's what we think. Although there was no official reason as such, the difference in values. So the cash voucher is based on MEB, which is around 40,000 CFA. The value that is given in the social protection program is 3 months. That is one of the reasons why the decision. The second reason is that the government has a huge microcredit program, especially in the Savannah region, we're including humanitarian interventions, especially a system of loans and reimbursement. So population will refer to humanitarian assistance instead of going to loan schemes in place. So that is a major step forward, being able to test out our program, and hope that we will not face the same situation like in Burkina, where now vouchers are also banned. Thank you very much, Monica. Well, of course, it's context specific per country, because countries differ, where there are countries where there is restriction, others where there is not. It's 9:45. Let's proceed and give the floor to Mali Cash Working Group. Can you hear me? Good morning, everybody. Apologies for the delay, because we were attending a meeting. For Mali, we actually shared 3 points: the launch of HNRP and the sensitization of technical services on cash transfer, and the proposal of new values for cash transfer. For the launch yesterday, with the support of the government, we launched the SNRP. The Minister of Health and Social Protection was even in attendance along with the humanitarian coordinators, along with the other humanitarian actors from clusters, other different working groups, HR, everybody was in attendance. For Mali, everything has been completed and launched. The cash section, cash component is also part of the document. So we were able to come to a budget for multi-purpose cash transfer. 44 million we were at. We actually saw some drop out, some nutrition cluster did not agree on multi-purpose cash transfer. Cash, they wanted to do cash, and so we had many discussions on this subject, but in the Bamako office, we decided to leave aside nutrition. So you have a budget of 44 million for the two strategic objectives. Apart from that, we had the proposal of new values from August 2024 up to last December. We worked on cash value, cash transfer value, and based on MEB. In December 2023, we prepared an MEB, including transfer values. But as we speak, these values are not tailored to the context. So we had to review the MEB and values and adapt them to the new context and evolution of the different markets. We have the MEB task force that has been activated, led by WFP. The session were closed in December, and we just waiting for other actors to join in for the cash transfer. Latest next week, everything will start off. And we also have another subject which has not been shared with you. It's the identification of phone SIM cards. Phone SIM cards were to be identified. Government placed a deadline calling for SIM cards to be activated and identified, with consequences for those who do not identify the SIM card using the digital ID card. The line will be suspended. So that we realized that would totally affect our cash transfer activities. So in December, we launched discussions, National Directorate of Social Protection, which has a task force on cash working groups. So discussions have been launched in this end. We also prepared a note for the Minister of Health and Social Development, who is normally supposed to meet with the Malian telecom authorities. The deadline was last December. From last December, all the SIM cards which are not yet identified, these phone cards will be suspended. After that, the government issued a statement, a communique, extending the deadline up to April 2025. From April 2025, 15th of April 2025, any SIM card which will not be identified, officially identified with the digital ID card will be automatically suspended. So we want to launch dialogues to preserve the activities of humanitarian actors. So this is basically an overview of our situation. Another important aspect is sensitization of technical services. The activity was planned in December. Due to lack of time, the activity has been adjourned to next February. All the technical services in the region of Mopti, interacting with the humanitarian actors, especially in the sector of cash transfer, will be informed and educated on the feasibility of cash transfer as part of cash transfer programs for the region of Mopti. This is how the bulk of cash transfer activities are done. So that's what we have to share with you, including the point-on ID card identification. We are slightly running behind schedule, but I want to thank you very much for this important point. If any questions in the chat box, please let's type them in the chat box. I can see. Hassan, have you? Good morning. Thank you very much, Mirko. Before anything, my best wishes to everybody. For the chat, the MEBA exercises, review exercise is ongoing. Secondly, we are also working on impact assessment. And there have been meetings with CALP lead and also with Team Cameroon. So we're working on 2025 work plan, and we want to in December, we want to the workshop was held first week of December. 39% of female participants. 35 international. 13% UN and state services, and 4% Red Cross movement actors. So there were 2 absent and 2 withdrawals due to disease. So you've been informed of the visit of NORCAP Secretary General, Mrs. Benedict, who's supposed to tour West Africa, starting from Chad on January 2026. Last December, under the aegis of the new government, that's what I can say with respect to for Chad. Thank you very much, Hassan. I suggest that we stop here for the round table. I want to Can you please respond quickly in the chat box? I want to present the next presentation. Robert is already online. Thank you very much for your availability. Thank you very much for the invitation, for the opportunity to present on the use of cash transfer in social protection. I can
Mainly someone we want to take you through or tell you more about protection and share with you the scoping paper that was developed by working team in global cash, which shared you the key consideration about the use of cash transfer as part of the specialized protection aspect. The document is available online in English for the time being, and we are finalizing the translations, and it will soon be available in French as well. I will share with you the link later on, so you can directly be able to use the English version. We will be sharing with you the link for the French version once it's available, just to give you a little bit of background of the work, that scoping paper very quickly. I would like to say that this paper was prepared by a subgroup comprised of members who are working on cash protection as part of the global protection. This group has worked on defining the concepts, common terminology, although cash transfers are used for protection, are still lack of harmonized overall terminology. So we wanted to work on those aspects. Following a workshop held in Rome 2 years back, we felt that need to work on more specific scoping documents on cash for protection. Those documents are based on existing insights. There are also already they're using cash protection. Also use documents that were developed by cash protection at national level, sometimes in collaboration with the cash working groups. So we build in on evidence and what is already in place. As and also things that have been validated by the global cash protection. Now we are focusing on the cash protection specifically, but still to guide the point, I want to explain that this paper is not an isolated document. It's just one of a series of scoping documents meant to refine understanding of cash for protection in the different programs through the protection continuum, as on the slide. That's mainly about protection mainstreaming, like mainstreaming principles of protection in humanitarian program cycles, and including those who are using cash transfers. We have a second programming framework, which will be an integrated programming, meaning integration of programming, protection in humanitarian work. So the purpose here is to support the protection objectives, and this may involve programs that are using cash transfer in addition to the multiple purpose cash, where that objective exists. It's about reducing exposure of population to protection risks and support the capacities of population and households to meet the essential needs. Then we have specialized protection program, which have specific protection outcomes, objectives. That this paper is not dealing with the two first types of program, is focusing rather on specialized protection. This is meant for protection actors, well, they who are playing a key role in the implementing protection services, but also important for cash actors, cash transfer actors, so they can know, or they can have more knowledge about those aspects, how they can work in synergy. Let's start with the definition. As I said, there was lack of general agreement on many definitions. But for the definition of the terminology, we have general agreement. It's an intervention in which we're using cash transfer as one of methodologies to meet the protection needs either of individuals or households. This means that cash transfer becomes one method of service delivery for the delivery of goods, with the ultimate purpose of achieving protection. There is a cash transfer is part of the contribution. It can be used for preventing protection risks when there is a shock or humanitarian crisis, or protection risks occur. We can intervene, or at the level of response when people have already facing the risks. Cash transfer can also contribute anonymously most it's not appropriate for sustainable results. Meaning that when we talk about cash protection, about cash transfer used together with other forms of assistance, like management of the camps or other activities, because cash without other services can't be defined as protection. Time we saw that there is some confusion. People wonder, asking what is the difference between multiple purpose cash transfers and cash for protection. What is the difference? So when you talk about multiple purpose cash transfer, we're referring to cash transfer which are designed to cover the needs or different needs of people and households. And the value of the transfer corresponds, or part of the amount, it's what is needed for households to meet their needs. However, when we talk about cash for protection, the purpose behind is different. Also, as I said, we're using cash transfer specifically to provide protection aids to strengthen the protection of the population. So, purpose is not to meet the socioeconomic vulnerabilities, but to meet protection needs. Disregard assistance modalities can be combined. We have this link. Once again, essential aspects to consider will include the value of the transfer, should be such that the purposes are not exposed to the risk either because it's too high or not enough, or consider all financial barriers, services, obstacles to access services, including participation and other points to consider. Still have 2 slides left. What's the frequency? Should be determined depending on the situation and needs, protection needs. That protection can be one-off or recurrent, meaning through time. And in general, the recommendation is to ensure that cash flow protection is conditional. Strengthening the capacity of beneficiaries. As I said, protection need capacity strengthening. We need referral, breakdown of the teams of the election teams and cash teams on the principles. I will conclude here with this slide of the key resources. You have some resources available. You go to the website of the cash protection, the global cash protection team page. You have some resources. Many resources are still in English, but we're trying to translate them into French and Spanish. So you will find some resources, some materials in French. Some resources are from countries that have already used it in the region. Nigeria has released a specific guide on the use of cash, which is used in the context of protection. I hope the cash working group will also contribute to further developing such resources. If you have other resources developed in your countries, please share them. Please share them with us so that we can circulate them. And finally, I want to thank once again for this opportunity. I will put the chat email address of our help desk. We have a service that assists various stakeholders. If you have questions, we may not have time to go through them today. You can for the help desk. Nico, flow back to you for questions, if any. Thank you so much, Roberta. Well, we'll have some time for the questions. Are there some people in the room who have questions? Yeah, there is also one question in the chat. Well, but we can start with people in the room. Thank you so much, Roberta. That's Nico. My question. I remember, certain point in time, was a training module that crafted
So as part of the definition of your MBBs, it is also important to liaise with the protection services. Then you will have a clear idea of services available and the price, the contribution that the person has to do. The two are not contradictory in reality. Well, I understand that it might not be this easy because it requires a lot of analysis and because the ways of working are different from BCA. So you may have a value to a more important number of people. If we are to deal with the people, it has to be tailored to the number of people concerned. Well, I hope that this is a good answer to your questions. Thank you. I can see a hand raised. William. I'm Porte Williams from USAID Humanitarian Affairs Office. I want to buttress the point on case management, the guidelines that are supplied globally, which is a component of case management, especially for social protection, which actually makes the difference, the sharp difference between with MBCA transfer. This is something that we have to keep handy, and also the question about the goods and protection on MEB. There is also the issue of MEB guidance and the specific costs in the MEB, knowing that they need to cover recurrent needs in the MBCA. So if we are to simplify, that is the major difference, but these are not contradictory because case management can show differences in costs sometimes. And in general, it's important to know what is the average amount and the maximum amount that the partners are ready to cover in terms of social protection, and making sure that it is in line with the recommendations. Thank you, Williams. Thank you very much for those who typed comments in the chat box. Probably there's one last question by Roberta in the chat box. I can quickly read it because we know the processes may take a lot of time and cash not being restrictive. How can we take care of these in what the first piece of advice I want to share is to work upstream with the cash working group on social protection. It also liaises with a comment by Williams a while ago to have a clear sense of the needs expressed and also to properly map out the risks. So it's important to understand this and clearly find out what are the services available that need to be supported for this type of service. This also gives us a sense of how we can address, how we can integrate cash transfer. Apart from that, if cash social protection is based on cash management, then we need to improve on this. So we use surge protection in the management of cases of emergence, and also work on this type of orientation. It is important to clearly find out what can be done and what cannot. Usually, we also deal with emergency case management, or emergency fund, as we say, that are used differently. So it can always still be cash, and this cash dedicated to addressing immediate needs of people that cannot be wait to be registered and cannot wait to go through the whole process, which will take 2 to 3 weeks before providing the response. So utilization is different, and the procedure is also different. So it also has a set of modalities to be followed. I can also look at the questions in the chat box and try and answer. Thank you very much, Roberta. I agree. There is another question typed in the chat box. If you can type the answers in the chat box, we'll all have time to run the last presentation. Thank you very much, Roberta, for your availability and for this presentation. I wish to recall to everybody that Roberta has provided the contact details of the help desk in the chat box. Please not hesitate to contact the help desk for any support need in your cash working groups. If Roberta, can you just deactivate the screen sharing function? Thank you very much. Now we proceed to the last presentation, and after that, give me just 1 minute. Well, we can now roll out the last presentation, which is actually a survey we conducted on the regional cash working group. I would like to ask Mbai to quickly introduce what is it that we've done at the regional level. Then I will present the results. And lastly, my colleague Abdullah will present the draft regional cash working group annual plan. Thank you very much, Mirko, and good morning. I hope you can hear me. I just want to check if I'm heard. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you very much, Mirko. Thanks to all the colleagues for this presentation. Yes, actually, to follow suit, as you know, every year we run a survey on the regional cash working group, and the same rule applied this year. So would like to thank Sophie and the entire team for the facilitation and for enabling us to get answers to these questionnaires. Actually, the goal was to find out what is it that can be improved, what are some of the criticisms that we can receive, how this work can be critiqued, and in order to improve the regional cash working groups. The goal was to serve as an engine power that will facilitate the cash transfer work, but also facilitation of discussions and bringing together regional actors. Here, there were around 30 questions asked to the communities in order to collect their perceptions and areas of improvement of the cash working group work. So we want to thank everybody for their participation, but also for the relevance of their inputs and ideas. Well, to give it more details, I would like to pass the floor over to Mirko, who will tell us more about the results of this survey. Thank you very much, and bye. Before we start, I would like to thank all the actors, the stakeholders who took part in, because we have a small group in Dakar put in place to support the regional cash working group. So we want to thank the people consulted for their inputs, for their ideas, and also our team members for the design of the survey. So let me walk you through the results of this survey. This year, as it has been said, there were around 80 answers, 80 respondents as part of the survey. As Mbai said, we analyzed the perception of the service provided, the perception of the beneficiary, of the actors of the service provided. But also we seized the opportunity to evaluate the work, but also to identify the priorities of the regional cash working group, especially for the year 2025. So in general, as you see, according to the answers provided by organizations, it is not a surprise. Majority of the respondents are international NGOs, including UN organizations. There was also a good number of respondents from actors of Red Cross and Red Crescent movement, but also local organizations. This is also good news to learn that there is increasingly more participation from local organizations. In terms of geographical coverage, the geographical scope, as you see, very good answers and good number of answers were received at the regional level. At the regional level, good coverage of all the countries. There are some countries that provided more responses than others. However, there is a minimum of number of answers provided per country. We were also able to reach coastal countries this year, unlike last year. Countries such as Benin, Togo, Ivory Coast, and Ghana. That is also very good. It's a way of integrating. There's also a way of reflecting their comments, their areas of priority in the work for the years to come. So this is a slide on the evaluation of the cash working group. It is it's a way of catching the perception of respondents. So as you can see, the different indicators are there. If anybody would like to have more details on this, we'll be very happy to share the details of the outcomes of this survey with you. But in the meantime, we can see that participation in meetings, the appreciation of the content of the work, the round table, we also try to catch the perception of the relevance of the subjects, priority subjects identified last year. These were positively assessed. However, it doesn't mean that there were no areas of improvement. Of course, there were areas of improvement, but overall, there is positive perception. Now, I'll quickly go through a series of slides where we have a number of qualitative questions that we asked to respondents. The questions such as qualitative questions. This also leads us to response analysis. So we try to capitalize on this to try and find out what are the priority areas that come out of the responses given by the interviewees. First, mainly, these are individual perceptions that were collected. For some of the topics, the analysis will have to be in-depth in order to inform changes this year. We will also try and find out how the cash working group can draw lessons from this. So there's a series of questions, which means that we should encourage participation of all the different cash working groups, especially for the roundtable. Not all the cash working groups are present. So we're going to motivate all the cash working groups to participate more, improving information sharing. Here, we can see there is a
the various revisions of the MEB. So at the beginning, that many working groups are working for the revision. At regional level, we already have an Excel tool. We can see how to update it on a regular basis and see if it's relevant. Why not put it online? So that we have a place where people can check it for have all the MEBs and their values across the region. Another point is to analyze in depth specific prospects, each country, or try to focus on a country at each meeting to dig further at the national level. And on that matter, we also have the support to advocacy. There are many points raised about the complexities and challenges related to cash transfer in the region with the restrictions. So, point is to see how the regional cash working group can support national cash working groups to advocate with the different institutions in the countries. Well, we also asked the question about the agenda of the cash working group. As you already know, we are trying to be asking all cash working groups if there are presentations they wish to make. But that's also the time during the regional cash working group meetings. If you wish to make presentations, if there are presentations by your organization or the cash working group you belong to that you find very interesting for the audience at regional level, please feel free to contact myself, Abdullah or Sophie. So please feel free to do that so we can see how we can find a slot. That's a way to see how we can better collect all the presentations. We also want to know if we can have particular topics, priority topics for presentations. We discussed about that past already. We want to see if we can share more assessments, feasibility studies, or innovations, experiences that are inspiring from different countries. We talked also about vouchers. We will see if there is something we can do in this regard. Strengthening participation. Well, there are many people who said that we should give more the cash working were available in case presentations share experiences or lessons learned. also data we get from the collaborative group to give more guidance to the plans. Having said that, I'm giving now the floor to Abdullahi for his briefing. Thank you so much, Miko. For the annual plan, Miko said it's about the operationalizing with through the consultation. We identified the priority actions for 2025, 4 areas. There's a first area related to coordination aspects. It was identified in the perception survey. Second area is on is on fourth of advocacy, an aspect rates in Miko by Miko in his presentation. So, in a more detailed way about those areas regarding the coordination, you have the various meetings that we usually have as regional cash working group. But also, we are planning to work on the TORs of the cash working groups, regional cash working groups, to update them to the new coordination method. This year, we're planning to organize of the original framework of ICG, yes, original. Well, you have the original humanitarian condition, but along with that, we believe that we should also continue assisting international cash workers in the HRP's development. For the second component on capacity strengthening, for training, tactical support, on various thematic aspects, trainings are not trainings that the cash working group will necessarily conduct in countries, but these are courses that we will support rather in the countries. There are countries we already identified as priorities for the courses, pertaining mainly to the current, mainly this current context of the ban of cash in some countries. At least we need to organize trainings contributing to sensitizing government actors. But this doesn't exclude trainings in other countries, but that is something we have trying to put in place for the cash working group. Indeed, there are other activities, including technical support, but also workshops or resource mobilization workshops that we are offering to assist in the regions, early with the planning of activities of national cash working groups. Which is also a tool to mobilize resources. Third research component was all highlighted as part of the topics that were identified. This is in general terms, but we are making benchmarking of existing resources or ongoing resources that are planned in different countries in relation to humanitarian cash, but also identify specific topics apart from that have been identified through the perception survey. Cash working groups may have more specific needs based on their countries, and we will be able to assist the national cash working groups for such research activities. Then you have other collaboration activities with the countries in the Sahel. still in connection with the context of the bans, a restriction of cash transfers. In priority, these are advocacy activities, awareness activities, line with the access group, specifically in Mali and Burkina, Burkina, and Niger. It's a proposal to jointly hold 3 workshops in those 3 countries. See how we can overcome the bans in those 3 countries. We are also proposing to put in place a system for monitoring. Well, with bans, we never know when this can happen. It can start from rumors, but whenever you hear something, we need to take action. So we want to put in place a tool to quickly alert in order to avoid further bans in the region. Well, indeed, as usual, we will do again the perception survey and draft in 2026 and open towards the end of this year. Another activity, the issue of the regional dashboard. We'll continue with that. Last year, there were pilot countries with volunteered. We will continue this other activity.
Thank you very much. My microphone is very low. CALP should develop a communication plan, a multi-year communication plan to popularize its activities and missions, because I realize that CALP activities are more restricted to humanitarian actors and the national organizations not covered by the activities and missions. So there is a need for outreach, an all-out outreach activity to promote those activities this year and the years to come. Thank you very much and for your idea. As you see, we have added another communication point because it takes a lot of requires a lot of capacities to reach out to general public. So we'll try and find out how we can improve this. So I see no other hands raised. Let's proceed with the AOB. I don't know whether there are AOBs. We have 2 items under AOB. If you have any item under AOB, you can raise your hand and speak out. As part of the AOB, the training of trainers is to be held. It's on February 24 to the 28th in Dakar. It's a training that is open to all. Number of seats are limited, unfortunately, but as we speak, registrations are still open. We have published on our website and the social media feeds more information about that. So the last AOB point, well, we started this meeting on the Cash Working Group lead and co-lead organized here in person in Dakar. We're contemplating the month of April. We're trying to find out an appropriate time slot for that. Taking into account public holidays here in the country, we will share with you additional information and in due course. So do not hesitate. We will try and set up a working group and define the agenda to prepare this activity. So please feel free to express your interest in participating, and we'll take into account, we'll share with you all the necessary information. Meeting to be held here around April in Dakar for 3 to 4 days or so. More details will follow later. I'm looking around me, see whether there is any additional point. Apologies for this, for